This whole process of figuring out how to reimagine your career can get overwhelming, stressful. And you know what I used to do when I'd get anxious, worried, and stressed out? I would tell myself that I was being ridiculous. Like when I gave my TED Talk in 2017. I told myself to just stop making such a big deal out of it and just get on with it. Manoush, come on. Thousands of people have given talks and survived. I shoved my stress down into my stomach and clenched it there and tried to plow ahead. I thought I was being brave and that thinking about my stress was a waste of time. And true story, I have never actually been able to watch my entire TED Talk because I can hear the strain in my voice as I am trying to keep it together. But recently, I met a stress researcher who explained that the way I dealt with that event and so many other stressful moments in my life is not only exhausting, it is straight up cruel. Psychologist Modupe Akinola teaches at Columbia Business School, where she studies how people respond, both psychologically and physically, to stress. And she completely changed my thinking about how to deal with nerve-wracking events, life-changing moments, or big choices. And honestly, the more I've talked to people trying to make a big change in their lives, the more I think we all need to be more strategic about how we deal with stress, especially when we're at a crossroads in life. Because here's the thing, once you've decided to quit your job or you say yes to an exciting opportunity, that exhilaration wears off pretty fast. And once it does, the intensity of the situation can start to grind you down. So instead of crawling back into bed, what should you do? How can you keep up your momentum and pace yourself? Well, by cultivating a good kind of stress, which brings us back to our stress researcher. Modupe and her team found that if we approach our worries in a particular way, we can actually stress out productively, even be energized by it. And it's pretty simple. First, don't deny or avoid your stress like I did. Instead, try saying, "Oh, hello, stress. I see you there. I was wondering when you were going to show up at this party." Next, name the reasons why stress is there, like all the reasons. Drill down to the root of its cause. For example, let's unpack why giving a TED Talk was stressing me out. Well, I was worried I would look stupid on stage or vomit on my shoes. And if I looked stupid on stage, well, that would mean people thought my work was dumb. And if they thought my work was dumb, well, then no one would ever bother to watch my talk. And that would prove that I couldn't have a career that made a difference and paid the bills. In which case, how could I possibly justify the risks I'd taken and the time I'd spent away from my kids instead of taking a steadier job? I mean, clearly I felt like there was a lot riding on this talk, which is why I almost backed out. But I also realized that if the talk went okay, it could change my life and give me credibility in a way that could open up professional opportunities big time. It could also show myself and my kids that you can do work you believe in and get paid for it. All that could make this stress worth having. By naming all the good and bad reasons to do something, we can get down to the essence of what is making you feel so crappy about taking on work or taking on a project that's hard, but also exciting. Which brings us to the last thing you need to do to transform bad stress into good. Decide whether you've got the resources to not just plow ahead, but really get through the tough times to come. Those resources can be financial. Maybe you got a severance package that can pay for a sabbatical, so you don't need to say yes to the first job offer you get. Those resources could be mental. Maybe you have made a big career change before and your world didn't fall apart. Those resources could be your community. Maybe you and your neighbor can do a childcare swap for a couple hours a week so you can give yourself time to do this project. Ask yourself, how have I handled a similar situation in the past? What are some big and little things I can do now to support myself through this tough period? Like I said before, none of this is exactly rocket science, but can we just nerd out for a minute here? There is some fascinating data behind the self-help element here. Okay, check it out. By approaching your stress with this good stress mindset and asking yourself these questions, research has shown that your body will start to respond. It will help you keep going. It will give you stamina. You'll get better cardiac efficiency, produce hormones that support you rather than make you feel like running away, and you will be cognitively sharper. Basically, just telling yourself that you have the resources to face tough circumstances convinces your body to play along in your efforts, sort of like a placebo effect, a Jedi mind body trick. I mean, how cool is that? So, the next time you feel like this process is overwhelming, or you'd rather go back to bed than figure out your next step, or like me, your impulse is to clench your fists and just get on with it, take a few breaths. Tell yourself that the research shows not all stress is bad. Take note of how your body is responding, whether you're reaching for Instagram to scroll for a couple hours or for a big bag of gummy bears. Because look, this big change thing is not easy. There are good reasons to be anxious about it, but there are also amazing and hopeful reasons to go for it. And even if the end result doesn't look exactly what you imagined earlier in this course, that's okay. You're here because you want to do things differently for yourself, your family, or the world. Does that sound idealistic? Well, yeah. But if more of us can listen to that idealistic part of ourselves, even just a little bit, and act on it, maybe we can start to live up to some of our optimism. And I do think we need to add a caveat. Being idealistic doesn't mean making risky financial decisions or being irresponsible. It's about weighing the stress factors, as we just talked about, and deciding which ones are really worth it. The exercises this week will help you figure out which of your ideas would stress you out just the right amount to keep going, the ones that you are willing to make the sacrifices to pursue.